Alright, the second method that we have of the three specific ones in my peaking manual is the rebound shock method, and it's basically for tissue adaptation in sports. Now, when you watch the videos, you'll notice that the limb is on top of the bands with a light weight. So basically, somebody will hold a light dumbbell. I'll even use ankle bands with weight. This is the greatest tissue response. If you actually want to understand why this is so important, the tissue is a two-spring system with the muscle and the tendon. If you want to YouTube my triphasic, the words triphasic training spring model tissue concepts, you can see what I'm talking about there and why this is a two-spring system. And then same as the exercises that you just saw, it's just with a different method. So with that being said, right here we have the hamstrings, and notice there's ankle weights on the athlete here, and then the bands, they're completely outside of the bands and they're up on top. And a lot of people have seen this exercise before, but by adding bands, the magnitude of which the muscle activates is monumental. And I'm not talking 6 pounds, I'm talking 1 to 2 pounds of weight. It's pretty impressive. Actually, my co-author on my speed manual with Chris Corfus has shown just like 300 grams of weight on a hamstring when you actually run down has been some crazy increase in muscle activation. He actually found the research on that and talked to the researchers. So but there's the exercise. Now this one's the same thing, but remember the one before that, the leg was in between these two bands, but this athlete has a ankle weight on and is just basically kicking fast as possible. He's not a very fast athlete. Now this one is a shoulder one, and again this one is an excellent, the same as before, but remember when the arm was in between the bands with the weight. Now here the athlete's holding a weight and slamming into, and this is extremely taxing. People, I rarely do any of these exercises over 10 seconds as we talk in the manual, and what actually happens on this to the tissue, I'll go back to the tensiomyograph is in the video before this. It'll help with it does help with all these things with muscle contraction time and relaxation, but it's maximal displacement. So, but I'm going to throw out a theory here. This is only theory because I've seen it happen in the triphasic system, is that if the tensiomyograph will tell you how stiff your tissue is, and if it's too stiff or too loose. And what will happen with these exercises, in my opinion, and I haven't confirmed this yet with other coaching friends of mine, is that what will take place is if you're too loose with your tissue, these exercises will actually tighten the tissue up, and if you're too tight, there'll be such a stretch on them, it actually will loosen the tissue up if you're too tight. I've seen the same thing with the Gerd's test in baseball, when my baseball players, any of them that were too tight in their shoulder with the Gerd's test and the others were too loose, when we did triphasic with internal external rotation, it actually put them in the right spot. So that's one of the benefits of triphasic training. Now keep in mind, this is just high qualities of the muscle tissue, okay, and this is the tensiomyograph, and I really like this machine, to be honest with you. I have a number of my pros, especially they'll all come back from their physiotherapists and their trainers, and they'll give them all these tissues that they need to stretch. When you actually test this with this particular machine, guess what? A lot of times you can be wrong, because they'll say, okay, you need to stretch this tissue, when actually that hamstring that they said to stretch was actually already too loose. So you need to actually tighten it up, and this is a method that you can use to do that. But I would actually highly recommend the TMG machine to confirm that.